It's me, Mrs. Finner, and I'm going to come at you with this basically YouTube video breaking down each constructed response that we've had so far in quarter two. The reason I'm making this is because I tell you that you can make edits, but I want to be really clear about what those edits are, and I really want to break down each constructed response in each rubric because each are a little different. Also, I know it's been really difficult that I haven't been in person with my in-person learners. Some students did not complete the study guide for their monster calls. I sent out messaging on Canvas, and some of the scores are awesome. Like some of you guys, snap, crackle, pop to you. You guys are rock stars. You racked out that test. Others, not so much. And we don't have very many summative assessment or test grades. So another reason I'm making this video is because I want to give a test to where you can knock it out of the park. Hopefully you did with the monster calls because it was open book, and I did record an audio of me reading that test to you, but I know, we just kind of need to really get our grades up, some of us. So I'm going to give a test grade over a constructed response paragraph. So this video might be a little long. Please watch it. I'm going to break this down for you, okay? So here we go. Here we go. This constructed response, I'm going to use the same student example for each because I want to show you her growth mindset. She grew so much from her first constructed response all the way to the last one we did. So you'll see her growth through these three because she does look at that criticism. She does look at the rubric. She does make edits and changes. So I want to see and show you how you can really improve once you put all those pieces into play. So starting with the compare and contrast constructed response. It's a lot of alliteration. Starting with that one. There were 4 questions. Some students didn't answer all 4 questions. You just picked one and you answered it, but you really hit all the other parts of the rubric, so I did give credit. So if you are going to do one question out of the 4, make sure that you have all the other pieces of the rubric. And I'll kind of go into that because that's what this student did. She answered one question, but she really made sure that all the other pieces of the rubric were followed. So let's start. This is where she kind of needs to have some more growth is with her introduction. So the first piece of the rubric for everyone states, and again, this is for the little talk compare and contrast response. It states, do you have an introduction or topic sentence that makes sense for compare and contrast? So remember, we said compare is alike, contrast is how it's different. So in that topic sentence, you should say, like she says, the topics that were discussed in both of the talks were his mom's cancer and Connor's dad. Great. So she told me those compared the topics that were both discussed, but does she talk about how they're different or how the different characters talk about them differently? No, she doesn't, right? So that's why she didn't get full credit for that, because it's not truly a compare and contrast beginning. If she wanted to edit that to get her full credit, she could say the topics that were discussed in both of the talks were Connor's mom's cancer and his dad, both, and then she could maybe say, is like a second sentence, or she could kind of reword it anyway, right? Just kind of throwing out ideas. She could say something like, both characters dealt with these topics differently, right? Boom, done. You don't have to go into detail about how yet, because it's just your introduction sentence, but hopefully that's helpful. You want to make sure you talk about how your characters or topics are alike or different. So a lot of you missed that. So just go back. I wanted to spend some time on that. Again, going through the rubric. Do you answer it in a complete sentence? Some of you do still miss points for this. Complete sentence has to have a capital letter and some type of punctuation at the end. These are little things that when you're proofreading make a huge difference and really add up in the end. So just pay attention to those little details. Again, same thing. Do you answer the second question in a complete sentence? A lot of students miss this. Do you have a transition word or phrase to transition between, okay, we're talking about the similarities, how those two things are compared, how they're alike, and now we're going to move to talking about the differences. So, again, I'll show you where that is in the student's example because she did a good job with that. Do you answer the third question in a complete sentence? The fourth, do you, in a complete sentence, introduce and cite a piece of evidence from the story? So again, I'm looking for like the text states or the author said or something like that to introduce the evidence. A lot of you miss that. please, 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 just really simply get in the habit of the text states, boom. And then is that evidence cited correctly? Again, we've been working with this for a long time. And I think that sometimes as students, you have so much going on. And I did that survey, that little connection survey that I sent out. And a lot of you said, like, you're stressed. You have a lot going on. I am in your same boat. I empathize with you. I feel you. But let's just take a moment and slow down in the work that we do. Let's make it our very best. So check to make sure that evidence is cited correctly, okay? Do you have a concluding sentence? The student did not have that. So again, a lot of students approach me saying, Mrs. Finner, what does that look like? It should be very similar to your introduction sentence. That's why I'm scrolling up. So you can say something like, again, it's going to be specific to what you write about, but you can say, in conclusion, perfect, in conclusion. That shows me as a reader, bing, bing, bing. That's your concluding sentence. That's a great way to start it. You can say, in conclusion, Connor's dad deals with the situation by blank, or Connor's grandma deals with the situation by doing blank, and Connor's mom handles it in this way. Perfect, done. That's just an example for this. But again, it should mirror or look just like your introduction sentence. So basically, all you're doing with your conclusion sentence is you are rewording that introduction sentence at the top. They should mirror each other. They should be like cousins, right? You know how with your cousin, you don't exactly look like them, but you kind of do sometimes, just depending, right? It's kind of a generalization, but I hope that kind of paints a picture in your mind. Do you avoid using I, me, mine, you, your, yours pronouns? This student got marked off. Please try not to use first and second pronouns. Stick to character names. So some students are like, I don't know how to do this. Just stick to character names. Don't have I or you in it, okay? And did you read it over and use spell check? Again, so many of you did not get these points. Please read over your work. A lot of times with my in-person students, when I'm reading something out loud to you, because you're like, I'm done, and you do it really quickly, and I'm like, I don't think you did it with your best effort, and then I read it over, and then you say, oh, no, I need to fix that, right? Because you hear the mistake with your ears. So have a brother or sister read it over, a parent, a grandparent. Have me read it over. I've only had one student reach out to me for like a Google Meet one-on-one where I critique their work and we look it over, right? I'm available, so use me as a resource. So let's just read over the students. I know this video is going to be long, but you can do it, okay? The topics that were discussed in both of the talks were the mom's cancer and Connor's dad. His grandma told him his dad was coming to visit and his mom was going back to the hospital. Good. His mom talked about his dad and why she was going to the hospital. Connor's grandma's motive was to tell him to talk to his mother and that he would have to stay with her for a while. His mom's motives were to comfort Connor and about the idea of his mom going back to the hospital. Now, here's her transition sentence. They both have different motives because his grandma wanted to tell him to get ready to stay with her, and his mom motives were to comfort him. Now, is that kind of a long sentence? Yeah, it's like a borderline run-on sentence, but notice that there's a distinct transition between this is how they're the same, boom, this is how they're different. His grandma's approach to the conversation was a little more harsh than his mother's. Great, she's talking about the differences. His mom's was calm, collected, and not very harsh. His grandma was firm and harsh. Again, I might tell her, this is very particular, but maybe not use the same word, right, in both sentences. Maybe go online to a thesaurus and try to find a synonym or a word that means the same, right? The text said, she told Connor in a crisp tone, it is not working, Connor, she said crisply. So again, you have the text said, the text states, Connor's mom believes that she will get better, but I don't think the grandma thinks the same. So again, she has the I here, so you don't want to have that. You should say, but grandma doesn't think the same way from the evidence, right? Or grandma, his grandma, Connor's grandma doesn't think the same way. Just use characters, take out that I. Also capitalize the I. So again, this student, I think if she just would have went back and proofread, this is something she would have caught. The grandma is set on Connor to accept that his mom won't get better and that he will have to stay with her. His mom is set on Connor to believe that he will have to stay with her for a while, but not for long. Great. So she's just missing that conclusion sentence. She could say, Connor's mom deals with the situation in this way with this tone. Connor's grandma deals with the situation this way with this tone. Boom, done. Right? So that is the little talk, compare and contrast versus constructed response. This video is kind of long already, so I'm going to now make a separate one for the constructed response titled how do characters influence plot? And I want to show you the growth that the student had. I hope that this was helpful to you. Again, please just put in that time, put in that effort, and ask questions. If you put in effort, I promise that you will be successful. So I hope this was helpful, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, everybody.